Real growth doesn't feel like what most people imagine. It doesn't feel like a movie moment where everything clicks and suddenly your life is better. It doesn't feel like a straight line where each step feels stronger than the last. No, real growth feels like loss. It feels like the ground beneath you is breaking apart, and you're standing in the middle of it, unsure if you'll have anything left to hold on to. When you start to change, you don't feel powerful at first. You feel weaker. You feel like you're unraveling, like you're losing parts of yourself you thought you could never live without. You look around and realize certain people don't understand you anymore. Certain habits no longer comfort you. Certain dreams you once held so tightly no longer inspire you. And in that moment, it doesn't feel like growth. It feels like everything is slipping through your fingers. But here's the hidden truth. That's exactly what growth is supposed to feel like. Because before you can step into the person you're becoming, you have to shed the version of yourself that you've outgrown. And shedding never feels comfortable. Shedding feels like loss. It feels like loneliness. It feels like emptiness. But deep down, all of this is proof that you're on the right path. So if you've been feeling disconnected, misunderstood, or like you don't recognize your own life anymore, you're not broken. You're not failing. You're transforming. Growth begins in the darkness, in the silence, in the moments where you feel like everything is falling apart. Because only then can the pieces rearrange into something new. In this video, I want to walk with you through the stages of real growth. I want to show you why it feels so heavy at first, why it feels like losing everything you once held close, and why in the end, it leads to something far more powerful than you could ever imagine. Chapter 1. Growth breaks your old identity. When you choose growth, the first thing that happens is not some magical transformation that makes life easier. The first thing that happens is loss. You begin to lose the old version of yourself, the person you thought you were, the habits you leaned on, the labels you wore like second skin. All of it starts to feel like it doesn't belong to you anymore. And that's terrifying, because even if those parts of you were flawed, they were familiar. Your identity, yourself, has been shaped by years of repetition. The way people saw you, the stories you told yourself, the roles you played for family, friends, society. It's like wearing a costume you've had on for so long, you forgot it was just a costume. But the moment you start growing, that costume begins to tear. It no longer fits. The conversations you once loved don't excite you. The habits you once thought were harmless suddenly feel heavy. Even the way you spoke about yourself feels outdated. It's like you've outgrown your own skin. And that's the strange part. You don't wake up one day with a brand new identity fully formed. You wake up feeling in between, not who you used to be, but not yet who you're becoming. This in-between stage is where many people give up, because it feels like you've lost yourself. And when you don't know who you are, it's easy to want to run back to what's comfortable, to put the old costume back on, even if it suffocates you. But here's the truth. Losing your old identity is not the end of you. It's the beginning. It's proof that you are growing beyond the limits that once defined you. Think of a snake shedding its skin. To the snake, the old skin was once protection. But as it grows, that same skin becomes a prison. If the snake refuses to shed it, it can't expand, it can't breathe, it can't live. The shedding looks messy, it looks uncomfortable, but it's the only way forward. You will grieve the person you used to be. That's natural. You'll grieve the comfort, the stability, even the false sense of certainty. But don't mistake grief for failure. Grief is just the soul's way of honoring what you're leaving behind. You're not losing yourself. You're peeling away the layers of who you are not, so the real you can finally breathe. And in that in-between space, when you feel like you don't recognize yourself anymore, I want you to remember this. Confusion is a sign of transformation. The fact that you don't fit into your old identity is the clearest signal that growth is happening. So don't run back. Don't numb it away. Let yourself shed. Because on the other side of that loss, you'll meet a version of you that feels more alive, more real, and more powerful than you ever imagined. Chapter 2. People won't understand you. One of the most difficult parts of growth is realizing that not everyone will understand the changes happening inside you. When you begin to shift your mindset, your priorities, your vision for life, people around you notice, and not always in the way you hope. Some may celebrate your growth. Some may admire it quietly. But many will question it. They'll ask why you've changed. They'll tell you that you're different, as if it's a bad thing. They might even say you're too much now, or not the same person they used to know. And that can hurt deeply, because in some ways they're right. You are not the same person. You're evolving. The truth is, people get used to the version of you that fits their world. They know how to relate to that version. They know what to expect from you. And when you start stepping out of that mold, it disrupts their comfort. They may not say it out loud, but deep down, they feel the distance. They see you moving toward something bigger, and they don't know how to follow. This is why growth often feels lonely, because the deeper you go into your own transformation, the more it seems like fewer people get you. Conversations that once flowed easily now feel shallow. Places you used to go with friends suddenly feel empty. The laughter you used to share doesn't land the same way. And you start to ask yourself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I connect the way I used to? But the truth is, nothing is wrong with you. You're simply walking a different path now, and not everyone is meant to walk it with you. That realization can feel heavy. It can feel like betrayal or abandonment. You'll look around and notice that some of the people you thought would always be there no longer call, no longer check in, no longer know how to relate, and that hurts. But you need to understand, it's not always out of malice. Sometimes, it's simply because they can't see from your perspective. They're still living in the space you outgrew. And here's where the shift comes. Growth is not about keeping everyone with you. Growth is about becoming more true to yourself, even if it means standing alone for a while. You may lose numbers, but you gain depth. You may lose the crowd, but you find your tribe. The few people who meet you where you are, not where you were. Think about it like climbing a mountain. At the base, the path is wide. Many people can walk beside you, but the higher you climb, the narrower the trail becomes. Fewer can handle the altitude. Fewer can breathe at that level. It doesn't mean you're wrong for climbing. It just means not everyone is meant for the summit. So when people don't understand you, when they question your changes, when they fall away from your life, let them. You don't need to convince anyone of your growth. You don't need to prove yourself or beg to be seen. The right people will recognize you without explanation. The right people will honor your evolution without asking you to shrink. And until those people arrive, walk your path with courage. Because being misunderstood is often the clearest sign that you are breaking out of the ordinary and stepping into something extraordinary. Chapter 3. Old comforts. Stop working. There comes a moment in growth when the things that once brought you peace suddenly stop working. The distractions you used to lean on, the habits that once felt safe, the routines that gave you comfort, they lose their spark. The movies you could watch on repeat feel empty. The conversations you once found entertaining feel shallow. Even the small pleasures you thought you couldn't live without don't satisfy you anymore. And when this happens, it can leave you unsettled, almost restless, like nothing fits the way it used to. At first, this shift feels uncomfortable. You start asking yourself, why can't I enjoy the things I used to love? Why does everything feel hollow now? And you might even try to force it, going back to old habits, old places, old patterns, hoping they'll bring the same comfort they once did. But no matter how hard you try, it's not the same. And that's because you've outgrown them. Here's the truth. Growth changes your appetite. What once fed your spirit no longer has the same nutrients. You crave something deeper, something richer, something more aligned with who you're becoming. And the emptiness you feel? That's your soul making space for the new. It's not that you've lost joy, It's that you're being prepared for a joy that comes from a higher place. This stage can feel lonely because comfort has always been our safety net. When the world felt heavy, you had those small things to escape into. And now, even those escapes feel meaningless. That loss can make you feel like you have nowhere to go. But the truth is, this stage is an invitation. It's life saying, don't numb yourself anymore. Don't hide. Don't settle for shallow distractions. Step into something deeper. Think about a child's favorite toy. At one stage, it brings happiness, safety, and comfort. But as the child grows, the toy loses its magic. Not because the toy changed, but because the child did. The same is true for you. You're not broken for outgrowing your old comforts. You're simply ready for something new. And though this emptiness is uncomfortable, it's not a punishment. It's preparation. That restless energy is your inner self pulling you forward, saying, there is more waiting for you than this. You may not know what more looks like yet, and that's okay. The space you feel inside is proof that you are being stretched into the person you're becoming. So if you're in this stage right now, where nothing feels fulfilling, where old comforts have lost their glow, don't panic. Don't rush to fill the void with noise. Sit with it. Let it teach you. Because that emptiness is not a dead end. It's a doorway. And what's on the other side will not just comfort you, it will transform you. Chapter 4. Success requires sacrifice. One of the hardest truths about growth is this: you can't keep everything. The life you dream about, the person you want to become, the peace you're chasing, it all comes with a price. And that price is sacrifice. You can't move into a new season while clinging to everything from the old one. Something has to give. Something has to be released. At first, this feels unfair. You may wonder why chasing your goals or healing your heart means you have to let go of people, habits, or routines that once meant so much to you. You may ask yourself, why can't I just have it all? But deep down, you already know the answer. Growth is a trade. Every step forward requires you to set something down. Sometimes it's friendships that no longer align with your values. Sometimes it's the late-night scrolling that drains your energy. Sometimes it's the comfort of procrastination or the safety of staying small. And here's the painful part. You might even have to let go of things that aren't bad. They're just not good enough for where you're going. It's like pruning a tree. If you've ever seen a tree right after it's been cut back, it looks bare. It looks stripped down, almost lifeless. You might think it's been damaged. But in reality, pruning is what allows the tree to grow stronger. It removes what's unnecessary so the tree can direct its energy toward real growth. The same is true for you. Sacrifice doesn't weaken you. It frees up your energy so you can grow into your fullest self. Of course, sacrifice doesn't feel empowering when you're in the middle of it. It feels like loss. It feels like grief. You'll question whether it's worth it. You'll miss the things you've let go of, even when you know they no longer serve you. You'll wonder if you made a mistake. That's natural, because our minds are wired to hold on to what's familiar, even if it's hurting us. But here's what you need to remember. Every sacrifice plants a seed. When you let go of wasted time, you gain clarity. When you let go of toxic relationships, you create space for healthier ones. When you let go of distractions, you gain focus. It may not happen overnight, but over time, the sacrifices you make turn into the foundation of the life you've been dreaming about. So when success feels heavy, when the cost of your growth feels too high, remind yourself of this. You're not losing for nothing. You're investing. Every cutback is clearing the way for something greater to take root. Sacrifice is not the end of the story. It's the soil where your new life begins. Chapter 5. Loneliness is the training ground. There's a stage in growth where it feels like the whole world has gone quiet. Friends drift away. Old routines don't fill your time the way they used to. Even when you're surrounded by people, you feel like no one truly sees you. And in those moments, it's easy to believe something is wrong with you, that maybe you've pushed too many people away, or maybe you've changed in a way that makes you unlovable. But the truth is, loneliness is not proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're transforming. Loneliness is the training ground. It's the space where you learn how to stand on your own 2 feet. It's where you stop relying on constant noise, constant validation, constant company, and begin to discover your own voice. It's uncomfortable, yes. At times it feels unbearable. But it's in that silence where you finally hear yourself clearly. When you're alone, you learn what really matters to you. You notice the thoughts you've been running from. You start to see the patterns you need to break. You begin to understand what kind of life you want to build, not the one others expect from you. In solitude, you are stripped of performance. You don't have to impress anyone. You don't have to wear a mask. You meet yourself as you truly are, and that's where real growth begins. Think about the strongest people you know, the ones who carry a quiet confidence, who move through life with clarity and purpose. That strength wasn't built in crowds. It was built in silence. It was built in the lonely nights when they had nothing but their own thoughts and still chose to keep going. It was built in the seasons where they could have given up, but instead used solitude as fuel to go deeper. And here's the beauty of loneliness. It doesn't last forever. It's not meant to be permanent. It's a season, a bridge between who you were and who you are becoming. Once you've done the inner work, once you've grown stronger, life will bring new people into your path. People who see you as you are now, not as you once were. People who match your energy, your growth, your vision. But if you skip the training ground, if you run back to comfort just to avoid the silence, you'll never be ready for those people when they arrive. So if you're in a lonely chapter right now, don't fight it. Don't numb it away. Don't rush to fill the silence with noise. Instead, lean into it. Let it teach you. Let it refine you. Because one day, you'll look back on this season and realize it wasn't a punishment at all. It was preparation. It was the place where you discovered your own strength. It was the ground where your future was built. Chapter 6. The Rebirth Stage. And then, almost without warning, something shifts. It doesn't happen all at once. It's subtle, like a sunrise slowly painting the sky after a long night. One morning, you wake up and realize you don't feel as heavy as you used to. The pain that once consumed you feels quieter. The loneliness that felt unbearable starts to feel like peace. The sacrifices that once broke your heart begin to make sense. This is the rebirth stage, the part of growth that reminds you why it was all worth it. What felt like losing everything was actually clearing the ground. What felt like destruction was really construction in disguise. You were being stripped of what you didn't need so you could finally see who you truly are. And in this stage, you feel different. Not louder, but steadier. Stronger in a way that doesn't need to prove itself. The rebirth stage isn't about becoming a new person. It's about returning to yourself. The self beneath all the masks. The self that always existed before the world told you who you had to be. And when you meet that version of yourself, it feels like coming home after years of being lost. You begin to realize that everything you thought was breaking you was actually shaping you into this. There is a quiet power in this stage, a confidence that doesn't need validation, a freedom that doesn't need permission. You move differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with a kind of peace that others notice but can't quite explain. And the best part? You no longer feel the need to explain it. You don't chase approval anymore. You don't cling to what you've lost. You've learned that real strength comes from letting go. And here's the thing. Rebirth doesn't mean life will suddenly be perfect. There will still be struggles, setbacks, and storms. But you'll face them with a new spirit. You'll carry the lessons of your loneliness, the strength of your sacrifices, the clarity of your identity shift. And all of it will remind you that you are not the same as you once were. You are someone who has walked through fire and come out transformed. The rebirth stage is the reward for all the nights you thought you couldn't go on, but did anyway. It's the gift waiting on the other side of your pain. It's the quiet whisper that tells you didn't lose everything. You found yourself. And that's a kind of power no one can take away. So maybe right now you feel like your life is breaking apart. You feel disconnected from people you used to love. You feel restless in places that once brought you peace. You feel like you've lost your sense of self. And it's scary, because everything you thought was solid suddenly feels fragile. But I want you to hear me. This is not the end of you. This is the beginning. Growth has never been about holding on. It has always been about letting go. You let go of the old identity that no longer fits. You let go of the people who cannot walk with you into your future. You let go of the comforts that kept you numb, the habits that kept you small, the distractions that kept you stuck. And though it feels like loss, what you're really doing is clearing space. Space for clarity. Space for strength. Space for the version of you that has been waiting to breathe. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels lonely. But loneliness is the training ground. Sacrifice is the soil. Emptiness is the space where new life begins. And if you can survive this part, if you can stay with yourself through the darkness, you will come out the other side reborn. Lighter, stronger, freer. If this video spoke to you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need the reminder today. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep walking your path. Thanks for watching.